Hello everybody, so I'm back with the part 2, the music collection, which I said would be David Bowie, I say David Bowie, but I don't really know the correct way to say it, Roxy Music and Led Zeppelin, which is three of my favourites, but weirdly with the video before, what album was it? Saucer Full of Secrets by Pink Floyd, I definitely had, and just can't find it, and the same's happened with Roxy Music, so I think it's their first album, or at least earlier than Stranded. I think I got these in order of date released. I don't know what it's called now. I think it's got like a panther on the front or something. But it's the one with the strand, which is one of my favourite songs. And yeah, just can't find it. It's not with these. And look through the CDs. I did box up a load of CDs a while ago, but I wouldn't have thought I'd take that random one. You know, I was putting away old hip hop ones and that I don't listen too much, so I'll have to double check. But yeah, weird. I've lost another one. So yeah, I'll start with David Bowie. So let me put them onto here, it's easier. So you've got Space Oddity, which is his first one. The actual song Space Oddity, amazing. Remember the first time I heard that, I was like blown away. I think I really knew who he was then. I just kind of had heard that song. I think I'd heard Starman, maybe Changes or something when I was a kid, just playing on the radio when I was say 5 or so. My auntie was a big fan of him. She had a cat with two different coloured eyes that she called Bowie, and then she had another cat she called Marley after like Bob Marley. It was two of her favourite artists. But yeah, without being harsh to this one, um, none of the other songs are as good as Space Oddity. It is kind of that one to stand out. It's kind of quite folky, really. Like Space Oddity is a different sound to the rest of the album. I've listened to it quite a few times, but I just can't really remember it too much, to tell you the truth. I mean, it's still good and still worth having in the collection, but this one is better. The Man Who Sold the World. Yeah, I try not to bang these two now, because I think in the last one with the Blu-rays I was sort of slamming them down. Width of a Circle is one of the best ones. The Man Who Sold the World. Actually, I think I'd heard the Nirvana cover from MTV Unplugged before I'd heard this original one. But I really liked the cover, and then when I went to listen to this, I actually like it more. And he had like the little revolver spinning noise on the percussion, which you don't really have in the Nirvana version. Um, Savior Machine is good. I mean, they're all good songs, but yeah, I'd say Width of a Circle and The Man Who Sold the World are the two stand out, but especially The Man Who Sold the World got a really catchy riff. I think, yeah, his earlier ones I don't sort of enjoy as much, but as an actual album, they're good to listen to. They just don't have as many sort of standout singles, but I guess at this time he was a budding artist, you know. And then you've got Hunky Dory. This one's amazing, one of my favourite. I haven't really considered what's the top three. I'll tell you the top favourite, and yeah, this is amongst them. Maybe by the time I've looked at them all, no, but yeah, it's just bangers on this one. So you've got Changes. Sure, everybody's heard that. Oh, You Pretty Things. Uh, 8-line poem, not as good. Life on Mars, iconic. Kooks. Apparently, a lot of people don't like that. Kooks is quite a simple structure and it's kind of folky. But yeah, I like the sort of catchiness and the weird lyrics and that to it. Quicksand, Feel Your Heart, not as memorable. Andy Warhol, really good. About the artist Andy Warhol. Song for Bob Dylan, good. In a Bob Dylan kind of style. Queen Bitch, one of my favourites. A really catchy chorus and like snappy lyrics. And the Bewlay Brothers, real kind of funky one with like a nice intro. Yeah, this is his first great album in my opinion. Yeah, one of my favourites. Definitely top 5, maybe top 3. I'll have to look as I go along. But as you'll see later on in the collection, I bought his greatest hits, like the 2-disc one, when I was about 15 or so, maybe a bit older. I'd heard his songs before, but that was once Changes was on there. Oh, You Pretty Things, um, Life on Mars. So when I went to buy in the albums individually, and I seen that had those three on, which are three of the most memorable, really different styles to each song, then that's sort of I think that's one of the first albums I bought. This one is my favourite out of all of them. Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. A really iconic cover. I've got this on vinyl as well somewhere. I haven't kept as many of my years ago. I used to buy them from like charity shops for like £1 for like good albums and stuff. and I would also use them to like not David Bowie, but older like funk ones I got to use on my turntable decks to like cut them up in Scratch and make breaks and stuff, and then make samples into like making my own tracks. But yeah, every song on this is good. 5 Years, classic. Soul Love, it's catchy. Moon Age Daydream, probably my favourite off of here. And it's on Guardians of the Galaxy Part 1, I think. It's a really good soundtrack on that, actually. Starman, sure everybody knows that. I remember someone sang that on Top of the Pops. And if British people can remember that with Matthew Kelly. And I'd never sort of, yeah, I'd heard it on the radio, but then I knew its name. Star, probably my least favourite one. Hang On to Yourself, bit more of a, not punky, but quite a like foot stomper kind of one. Ziggy Stardust, really iconic, really good lyrics. Suffragette City, well, I was going to say, yeah, more sort of rock and rolly, faster riff. And then Rock and Roll Suicide, probably my second favourite one. Just like a really classical kind of song with not too much like percussion and just gives his voice room to breathe. But yeah, it's a bit more rock and rolly, a bit more sort of punky edge than the previous ones. One of his least poppy albums, I would say, even though it's got some of the singles. But yeah, that one I've got on this weird edition, and all the rest I've got in like the remastered. But yeah, that's probably my favourite. And then yeah, this should be top 3 or top 5. Right, I better speed up a bit, or this is going to go on for like 20 minutes. Watch That Man, I like. Aladdin Sane, really good. Driving Saturday, catchy. Panic in Detroit, I do like, and it has got a kind of paranoid sort of musical sort of style to it. Cracked Actor, one of my favourites. Same as Time. The Prettiest Star, probably my favourite on here. Yeah, I think so. It's like catchy, well written pop song. Let's Spend the Night Together, really kind of funky. Quite sort of simplistic, repetitive, almost like rock and roll, like, well, not Little Richard, but you know, that kind of sort of style, almost like green bluegrass sort of roots to it. The Gene Genie, really catchy. I remember when I was younger, before I really knew who it was singing it, my granddad or someone had this like double compilation. I think he had 2 of them of like the greatest guitar riffs, and Gene Genie was on there, and it's real funky, catchy guitar riff, and then like nice vocal refrains. Like Lady Grinning Soul, it's quite dark and like moving, but yeah, not as much a favourite. Oh yeah, I'll try and be more quiet with these. Well, pin-ups. So this is all covers, I think. Might be one original one. Let me move the camera so my hand's a bit more comfortable. I think that's Twiggy on the front. It's like an old model. Let's get it on a better angle. Standout one, See Emily Play, which is a cover of one of my favourite Pink Floyd ones. Not quite as good as a Pink Floyd. It's kind of not got the surrealism and space rock kind of elements. Sorrow, probably my favourite one off of this. I don't know who does the original, but I'm sure must be better than the original. Here Comes the Night, it's a good one. They're all good, and I don't really know the originals of these. I don't know if he's done them better or changed them, but yeah, Sorrow, really catchy. That was one of the greatest hits, one of the ones that stood out to me when I first got it. Diamond Dogs, another one of my favourites. This is probably the top 5, but I don't know if it'd make it into top 3. Standout ones, Diamond Dogs, Rebel Rebel, I'm sure people know that. 1984, one of my favourite David Bowie tracks ever. Really good lyrics. Big Brother, kind of as ahead of his time, like George Orwell sort of thing. Well, so 1984 to be fair. Chant If They Ever Circling Skeletal Family. That one isn't as memorable, but yeah, 1984 for this one, and Rock and Roll Suicide off of Ziggy Stardust used to be on a skate video we used to all watch as a kid when I say kid, when we were like 17, when we skated. The way it sort of plays with the imagery on the video, it's on a bit when they're not skating, there's like a breakdown and they're like sort of a bit artistic, like film they're editing. Those two work really well, and that's what sort of make them more iconic for me. They're just more nostalgic and that, because of, you know, a lot of music is who were you with and where were you and what was going on when you first heard it. So I could hear a certain song now, it would take you back to exactly, you know, a time when you were 15 in the summer holiday sort of thing, associated with one song. Oh, sorry, I should say Young Americans. Yeah, not one of my favourite ones, to be fair. I think on this he started going a bit more like soul, would you call it? Like, Young Americans is good. That was on my greatest hits one. Fascination, I do really like. Across the Universe, really good. Obviously, that's a cover of the Beatles. And then Fame, one of my favourite ones by him ever. Such a funky, you know. Surprised it's never been on film. on Donnie Darko they use Notorious, which has kind of got that funky guitar twangy riff. But yeah, I don't think I've ever seen Fame used, whereas it's just so catchy and funky, and the way the like vocals are produced and that. Yeah, not a favourite album, but one of my favourite songs by him. This is one of, probably be in the top 5. I think I can only fit one more in the top 5, I've said a lot, but yeah, Station to Station, really long, well writ. Golden Years, really catchy, one of the first ones I heard by him. Word on a Wing, uh, really good sort of soaring ballad, but yeah, I remember seeing a certain video of that live when it's like amazing, probably the best live performance he's done. TVC 15, a bit more sort of funky and chanty, one of the least favourites of this. Stay, same in as great. Wild as the Wind, amazing vocal performance. But yeah, it's only got 6 tracks, but they are quite long ones. But yeah, Station to Station, Golden Years, Word on the Wing, and Wild as the Wind, I think, are the best sort of 4 on that. See how long this keeps going. Maybe I'll stop at the David Bowie and put the Roxy Music and Led Zeppelin into another video, because it's starting to go on long and there's a lot of these to talk about. I haven't got all of these. I'm missing, I think, Lodger. He did 1 or 2 like kind of weird, I say weird, like more experimental kind of drum and bass sort of ones. I can't remember what they're called. Outsider, maybe. There's 1 or 2 other later ones I don't have, but I have most of his, what I'd consider the peak of him. Right Low. I think this is the first of the Berlin trilogy when he lived in Berlin. This is a bit more like, not ambient, but sort of a bit more slowed down and sort of more about the actual way the music's written and the sort of catchy hooks and that, I think. Yeah, Speed of Life, do like Breaking Glass. It's really good, well produced sort of sound effects. What in the World? Not a favourite. Sound and Vision, that was off my greatest hits. That's probably their sort of single. Always Crashing in the Same Car, one of my favourites. I like the way he works up to the chorus. Be My Wife, another good one with quite a sort of synthy kind of hook to it in the musicianship, I think. New Career in a New Town, can't remember as much. Or Warzawa, is that pronounced? Art Decade, Weeping Wall, good. A lot of these are quite sort of emotional, dark kind of. I think I had to listen to this quite a long time really to get my head around. Same as one of the other ones in this sort of Berlin, where he did kind of go away from the pop into like, I think maybe Brian Eno started working with him on these. But yeah, more of a kind of electronic, industrial almost kind of style. Well, what Germany were doing at the time, basically. Yeah, Weeping Wall, Subterraneans. Yeah, I think it sort of fades out a bit more towards the end, stronger near the start. But musically, that's one of his best. It's just not one of my favourites. I prefer his sort of catchy, like Life on Mars kind of songs. But Heroes, lead track off of this, amazing. Used to know this guy, that was his favourite track ever. It literally gave him like goose pimples when he heard it. Best ones off of here, yeah, Heroes, Blackout. How would you say that? New York. I mean, they're all good. It does work together well. Out of these Berlin ones, it is kind of the more poppy one, but just with kind of a bit more electronic-y beats. But yeah, compared to actually, maybe there's a Berlin one I don't have, or Station. I can't remember now. I know he did about 2 or 3 when he was in Berlin, and they did usually have a bit more of a different sound to them. But Scary Monsters, I don't think was part of it. I mean, this has gone back to being a bit more poppy with some iconic ones. But yeah, off of here, this is one of my favourites. If I haven't named 5, and this is the 5th in the top 5. No Games, alright. Up the Hill Backwards, really good. Scary Monsters and Super Creeps, really like. It's kind of like sort of Halloweeny sort of style, almost Monster Mash kind of style to it. Ashes to Ashes, one of my favourites ever by him. The atmosphere is kind of Pink Floydy, No Quarter by Led Zeppelin, sort of the synths, like if you close your eyes, listen to that one, it's like real soothing and sort of ethereal. Really good lyrics. The music video to it's real art, one of the best sort of shot, and it's like a sort of bit like Begotten, like that weird film or something. The way the video's shot, and he's like dressed as a mime and that, it's quite creepy. Teenage Wildlife, not a favourite. Scream Like a Baby, I do like. Kingdom Come, Because You're Young, It's No Game. They're all good, but they aren't standout. But yeah, I'd say Uphill Backwards, Scary Monsters, Ashes to Ashes. Oh yeah, Fashion, if I didn't mention that. That's a real funky one. Other than Fame, probably the funkiest one I've heard by him. Really like the sort of twangy guitar and the space, and then the way when he says fashion, it like echoes. Let's Dance. Sorry, I should show you some. Maybe that's the third Berlin one. I've got them in the wrong order. I can't remember, but I'm sure Sammy G or Stuart George. I don't know if Stuart George is so much into David Bowie, but I know Sammy G is. It's like his favourite artist, so I'm sure he knows more on these than I do. I used to know years ago, but talking like 15 years ago maybe when I was sort of getting these albums. Modern Love, really good one. China Girl, one of my favourites ever by him. I think it's like a euphemism for like, is it like coke or heroin or something? But you phrase it as China Girl. But yeah, really catchy. A bit later when he's sort of almost shouting on the beat, really powerful. Without You, not as memorable. Ricochet, Criminal World, Cat People, Shake It. Yeah, I think China Girl, Modern Love, Let's Dance, understand that. Yeah, Let's Dance, really funky. One of the most sampled like breakbeat tracks ever. I think that's what Vanilla Ice used. Yeah, I'm probably going to stop at the David Bowie ones, to be fair. Obviously, it's going to go on too long. One of my favourite films as a kid, so I watched this so much. I kind of knew almost every like word in it. And then it's got obviously the actual songs from it. So there's pieces of music. I really like Into the Labyrinth. Obviously, if you'd heard this and you'd never watched the film, I mean, some are good songs, but obviously the ones with like the weird voices singing and stuff, like let's have a look for it in a bit. Yeah, Chilly Down. It kind of in the film, it's kind of weird fiery monsters that swap their heads singing in like weird kind of almost like Muppet Sesame Street voices. Whereas obviously if you just heard this alone and didn't know it's from a film, you'd probably be like, it'd probably sound weird. But yeah, some of them are just instrumental sort of music score to the film, and then some are songs. So Magic Dance is a song, real catchy. Used to love that one as a kid when they're like throwing the baby and the goblins are catching him and stuff. Chilly Down, when like I said, when they're throwing their heads around, and 13 o'clock, I think's the one when the or no, maybe Underground, when she's in the sort of room and it all turns upside down and the stairs are abstract and he sort of keeps appearing around. Like, yeah, I mean, I haven't seen too many David Bowie films. I think there's The Man Who Fell to Earth and what's it called? There's one. It's a vampire kind of film. I think it's maybe got like Susan Sarandon or something in it with Bowie, but I've not seen those. Whereas yeah, he's really good in it. Kind of looks the part as a Goblin King with his like crazy hair and makeup and stuff. Actually good acting, and obviously his singing and performances are amazing as you'd expect. But yeah, one of my favourite film soundtracks. I think not only because I like the film, I used to like the film a lot as a kid, but it is just sort of good music in its own right, really, outside of being a soundtrack. I won't go to this too much because obviously it's greatest hits. I spoke about most of these. But yeah, this is where I sort of started. So if you look how many good songs, every single one of them is not only his like some of his best, but yeah, John I'm Only Dancing. I don't think I've seen on any of these albums. It must be one I don't have. Boys Keep Swinging. I think these are on newer. Under Pressure. I think that was only released as a single. I don't think it was on an album. Blue Jean. Don't think I've got one with that on. This Is Not America. I think that was. And Loving the Alien. I think were off of his later albums. Dancing in the Street. Maybe that was on a Rolling Stones or Mick Jagger release rather than David Bowie. But obviously he's got it on here. I don't think that was ever on an album. Oh yeah, it was on what's it? Oh, I won't go on anyway. Talking too long. But Jump They Say, Hello Space Boy, the Pet Shop Boys remix. Yeah, some of these later ones are more like dancey kind of electronic-y mixes, and then the last one I got by him was The Next Day, which was the last album before he died. The Next Day, really catchy. Well, I mean, it is kind of slow and weird, but hypnotic, should I say, rather than catchy. Video to that, it's good. And then Dirty Boys is kind of quite a harsh sort of funky, like, it's not like a saxophone, but yeah, it sounds like sort of brass or something. Quite a weird, different than you'd expect. Stars Are Out Tonight, really nice kind of ballad. Love Is Lost, can't remember as much. Where Are We Now? Yeah, I think that's the one with the kind of Lynchian style video where it's like in black and white and it's kind of quite an artistic, creepy, kind of depressing song, really, but well sung. Valentine's Day, one of my favourites off of there. Dancing Out in Space. Yeah, You Were Set to See the World on Fire. I think the second half I didn't like as much or isn't as memorable. And then he does have a newer, I can't remember what the very new one. There was one that was released just after he died. But I think he knew he was like dying when he recorded the album. So at the time when it came out, not long after he died, or maybe just like 3 days after or before or something. When he was in hospital, I didn't really listen to it because people were saying it was good, but they were saying it's real depressing. And obviously, when he's sort of talking about what is going to happen, then you listen to it fresh after it's happened. It's kind of harder to listen to. So yeah, I never really bought that. I'm not saying it sort of must be so much upsetting because there's other artists that are dead that I listen to their stuff now, but I usually find their albums or whatever years after they dead. So when I first started listening to Nirvana, Kurt Cobain had been dead for like years, kind of thing. Whereas with David Bowie, to have him die and then an album come out, and the album has got a lot of content about that stuff, it was a bit too sort of depressing at the time. So I've heard it's good, so I will probably eventually get it. And then, like I say, there's I think inside this Best of Bowie. Yeah, I won't go on too long now. I aren't going to do this, but just to put my own mind at ease, I was just seeing what I think it shows you every single album in here somewhere. Yeah, this is one of the best. Great. I mean, I've got a few greatest hits by bands. Sometimes when I was younger, I'd buy that to sort of get a taste of all the different stuff, and then seek out the albums they were from individually. Once I'd heard like the singles. And yeah, they've got quite a lot of good ones, like say Blur's Greatest Hits. It's got a lot of good ones in, and Latter Days by Led Zeppelin. But yeah, this has got to be the best greatest hits ever. You look on the back, so many like amazing songs. Not just he did a lot of good songs, but I think they're a really good selection. They chose all different kinds of his music. Yeah, so I got those five. Young Americans, Low. Yeah, oh yeah, is Lodger is after Low and Heroes. That must be the third in the Berlin trilogy, which I don't have. Scary Monsters, Let's Dance, Tonight I don't have, Never Let Me Down, Tin Machine, Black and White Noise, The Buddha of Suburbia, Outside, I have heard that, my mate used to like it, it is kind of drum and bassy. Earthling, I think maybe that's like drum and bassy as well. Hours, there's a Christian F soundtrack, All Saints, and then obviously the Labyrinth I've got, yeah, it's quite about 7 or so of the very newer ones. I don't think I liked his stuff as much then. He's always reinventing and being sort of what's the word? Like changing with the times and adapting as an artist. He's never get stagnant. He was always basically trend setting. He'd sort of do something that no one else had done, and I wouldn't even say everyone else would copy it because they couldn't really copy it. Like people, say the glam rocks, well, not even rock, but glam pop style. There's other people like Mark Bolan from T-Rex, similar and was talented, but I just don't think any of those sort of were near Bowie in terms of singing and lyrics and overall presence and stuff. Like, and yeah, so yeah, he probably is my favourite like solo artist ever. But yeah, anyway, I've rambled on for 23 minutes. But yeah, let me know what your favourites are, if you've got any of the ones I'm missing that are good. Well, yeah, if you know any sort of more information or films that he's in, because I swear there was a few more that I can't think of. Maybe he's even in the TV series. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.